You can't tell, I'm wearing a shirt that has something written on it, which is new for me, but also it's a new shirt. So, however you wanted to interpret that, you could. Uh, Today I'm talking about something that I just really have been wanting to talk about all week. It's been a recurring theme that just kept popping up in pretty much every way it could. So, at the last minute, I kind of got a little bit of strike of inspiration to just write this outline that I have for the episode today. And it is kind of connected to the shirt that I'm wearing, which is just a very how do I put it? I don't give a shit attitude, just like it's the truth. Because people often think that they're saving the planet when they're really active in protecting the earth. But all you're really doing is preserving your home. The earth is gonna. If you're acting like you care about the earth, that's one thing. If you're acknowledging that you're hurting other animals, other life on the planet, that's a different thing. But the earth itself is gonna be here a lot longer than we are. So that's kind of what this shirt means. The planet is fine. The people are fucked. And it's George Carlin. If you don't know who he is, I've mentioned him quite a few times in my previous episodes. Anyway, I am planning on doing another show that is going to replace this show after the 30th episode, and it's not going to have a big title in front of it like all of these. This one's called Fallen World Episode 23, The Problem. And this new series that I'm going to be doing would just be called The Problem, and it would be significantly shorter than this. This would be about, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe 40 minutes, and that's going to be about 10 minutes or less. So I'm going to replace this with a different show, and I think I'm going to shoot it in the same place at the same time every week, but it's going to be edited. It's not going to be a live stream. But I still will be premiering it with a live chat, just like a live stream, at the same time on the same day. And this will be after episode 30. We're only on 23, so there's still 7 more episodes of this. But with the intro out of the way, chapter 1, If It's You. The theme for today is how to determine if you are the problem in any given situation, which I think is useful because a lot of people tend to feel like they're not the problem. And then on the flip side of that, you got the people who are always wondering if, am I the problem? Am I the one who did something wrong? Do I have to worry about that? And then there's the people who just confidently go about their day as if they know they never did anything wrong and they're not the problem and everybody else is the problem. So today we're identifying if it's you, if it's not you, and then we're moving into a solution. So, do you have trouble minding your own business, confusing it with empathy? This is the first thing that is really important because if you are constantly in other people's business, thinking about other people's problems, and always feeling like it's your job to deal with other people's problems, and you're acting like it's coming from a place of empathy, you're thinking that it's coming from a place of empathy, but in reality you're just a nosy person who has trouble minding their own business. If that is something that you catch yourself doing, if you realize that you are the type of person to judge someone based on what they're doing, the way they look, what they're wearing, or what they say, instead of just who they are, and not even judging anyway, but just judging at all, you really have to ask yourself, what am I doing? So, is your head overrun by thoughts about everyone else's problems? Are you trying to make the world a better place through judgment? And some people think that. I mean, you look at people who say that, boys should not wear dresses and girls shouldn't wear suits, and they think that they're improving something by saying that. They think that they're encouraging something that is normal and healthy, and discouraging something that is coming from a place of manipulation and evil and the world is trying to be turned into something that it shouldn't be, and they're aware that it shouldn't be turned into that, and they're trying to actively share information to wake people up about that and prevent it. But what they're doing is really judging people and telling someone that, almost like forgetting that they're human and saying, I'm sure this person is just means well. They say, I don't care if you mean well, you're stupid because you're not awake, you're not smart like me, and I'm gonna judge you for it based on what you're wearing. Hi. Somebody just said hi. So, yeah, you gotta be aware. If you are that type of person, and then you are the problem. But chapter 2, if it's not you, this is the reverse. Do you have trouble saying no to requests and directions out of empathy? Somebody asks you to do something, or somebody gives you directions, and you, even if it doesn't feel right to you, even if you really would rather not do it, or you'd rather do it another time, you have trouble saying no. And this is can be coming from genuine empathy, can also just be coming from fear. And if you're saying no, I think it's a bit of a combination, because you're thinking about the other person. It's not genuine empathy, but it's still empathetic that you're caring about the other person. You're thinking about how saying no will make them feel, and you don't want to cause any trouble. And is your head overrun by thoughts about being perfect, or at least good enough? Maybe you're not trying to be perfect, but you have an idea of what is a bare minimum, and you're just trying to live up to that all the time. And you catch yourself having thoughts or saying things or doing things that you think are not good enough, and that you'll get run over for it. Are you trying to make the world a better place through understanding, empathy, positivity, basically the opposite of trying to make the world a better place through judgment? Are you trying to better the world by being the light and that other people can follow, by setting an example instead of pointing out what's wrong? And if you're doing these things, you're not the problem. You don't have to be worrying about if you're the one doing something wrong. So chapter 3, it's us. It's it's us. It's not you or me. It's all of us. We're all the problem. Because if you resonate with the first chapter, then really the people in the second chapter, the people who resonate with the second chapter, only feel that way because of you. Your mentality of being judgmental, being up in their business, it's coming from this presumed sense of superiority on your part, which is going to make the people who have the mindset on chapter 2 feel inferior and feel like they constantly need to live up to your expectations. And you are essentially their God. You're essentially the person that they look up to, that they want to live up to, and they want to be just like. And that's really not fair to them. It's not fair to you. It's not good. Don't do that. So if you resonate with the second chapter, then you're going to need to hear this. We all have a battle going on every day, every second of every day, and we have to choose if we're going to go high or low. We have to choose what type of person we want to be. Superiority is an illusion. There's no such thing as someone who's better than you or worse than you. We're all the same. But I want to use an example of the trolley problem. This is a really popular moral dilemma, which is basically you're driving a trolley and you don't have the ability to stop it. You only can turn tracks to go on the left or the right. On the left, there's 5 people tied to the tracks, and on the right, there's 1 person tied to the tracks. Well, it's an easy solution. You kill 1 person instead of 5 people, because there's no scenario where you're going to kill nobody. And you can choose to be the person who freaks out and tries to find a way to not kill anyone, but really all you're going to do is be wasting your time and distracting yourself, and you're going to end up killing 5 people when you could have just killed 1 if you had just accepted that there's no way around this. Sometimes life presents us with random situations, and there is no way to kill nobody and have no collateral damage. Sometimes you have to just turn to the right and kill 1 person instead of 5, and there's really no other option. You barely have any time to think of another option. So even if there was, you on the inside of the trolley are certainly not going to have a way to stop it. So, yeah. Basically, that seems like an easy solution. Pick 1 person. But what if you know the person? What if it's 5 strangers versus your child or your partner or your mother or father, or, I mean, you could have your child, your parent, your partner, or your best friend on the track. Are you going to spare their life to kill 5 people? Or are you going to kill them to spare 5 people you've never met? That's the more interesting dilemma, and that's what sparks the most debate. Because people think, well, if it's the right thing to do when you don't know the person, then it's still the right thing to do when you do. But this is why morality does not come, it's not a calculator. There's not an objective situation. And this is something I talked about last week, but I don't want to get into it too much here. I'm just going to kind of give a little brief, less confusing version of it, or at least I'll try to make it less confusing. If we think like calculators and we are always focused on making the right decision, imagine how if you're a man and you're married to a woman and you've been married for 20 years and you end up on a trolley, she's tied to the tracks, and you have to choose between killing her or killing 5 strangers. Imagine if during your moral dilemma you choose to kill her just because it's one person instead of 5. You've become a calculator. Your personal relationship with her doesn't matter because you value your moral worldview more. So imagine how she's going to feel in her last moments, watching her husband run her over just because of his weird moral philosophies. You don't want to be the person who betrays a relationship like that for any reason. But, hi, I love your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do it every week, so glad to know people enjoy it. But yeah, you don't want to be that person because it's really not helping anybody. I mean, if everything was about numbers, if everything was about quantity, then the solution to life, the meaning of life, would be to have more and more people. And killing people would always be wrong because the meaning of life is to have more people. So less people equals not good. There are plenty of species, like spiders, that exist to keep populations in check. Bugs would take over the world, for example, if spiders didn't exist, and frogs, and other animals that eat insects. Animals kill and eat each other because if they didn't, it's just kind of the way things are set up. So it's not about more. It's not about just making, it's not about just making more people and reproducing and reproducing and reproducing. It's about it's about more than that. I'm not gonna really try and tell you what it's about, but I can definitely tell you what it's not about. And if you think that it's not about numbers, then you're not gonna make the decision to kill your wife instead of killing 5 people. So, and you certainly shouldn't make that decision. It's easier if it's your kid. I mean, that's a better example. If you have got your own child, someone you brought into the world on the tracks in front of you, are you really going to kill them instead of killing 5 people just because it's one person, just because it's a smaller number? So that's really the solution to the trolley problem. It's not about numbers. It's not about how many people you kill. Everything in life is more situational than that, which is why in one scenario you should kill one person. In another scenario, you should kill 5 people. It depends on the situation. And it's not really about what you should and shouldn't do. It's more just about, are you being honest with yourself and making the decision that is actually for the greater good? Because you can't really think about things in such an objective way when you have such a limited understanding of how the world works around you. You have to understand that nothing is really objective. Everything, if there was such thing as just something that's completely objective, basically something that is not viewed by any perspective, then it wouldn't even exist, because the whole meaning of existence comes from the fact that somebody's able to view it. There is a consciousness that's able to experience existence. What is a university without students? What is a universe without consciousness? It's nothing. There's no reason for a university to be there if there's nobody who's going to go in and use it. And a universe without conscious beings who can actually utilize the tools in the physical material world it just kind of is there and nobody even knows it's there. It's as if it's not there. So we have to stop thinking of things in that way. We're not calculators, we're not machines. And if we were machines, nothing would matter. I mean, it really just we have to embrace what makes us human. And people who have an ongoing battle between love and fear are being honest with themselves about the human condition, which is having an ego and having the ability to feed into dark energy. And people could say, well, dark energy exists, so it's not fair. Life isn't fair, and I'm a victim. And that means that I'm justified in just taking everything because things are not fair, and in order to make it fair, I need to just feel entitled and take everything. Or you could say, dark exists, so instead of it's not fair, it's an attack on me, say, well, I can take this opportunity, I can take lemons and turn them into lemonade. I can take this attack, I can take this pain and suffering and use it to learn something and heal and grow and then teach it to others and just provide more healing and positivity in the world. Or I can become a taker and feel entitled and feel like a victim. You you really have to choose what type of person you're going to be. Are you going to be someone who feels like a victim all the time, or are you going to be someone who takes every opportunity you have to make the world a better place? Are you woe is me, or are you let's all enjoy life and you're encouraging positivity? You have to choose what type of person you want to be. But you have to stop harboring guilt for hurting people who are just manipulative, people who don't take any responsibility, people who resonate with chapter one, people who have trouble minding their own business and whose thoughts are overrun by everyone else's problems and the world's problems. Like this shirt, the planet is fine, the people are fucked. Are you the type of person who is doing a lot of environmental work to save the planet? Or are you doing environmental work because you genuinely want to spread positivity and take care of the living animals and beings on this planet who are suffering from our lack of empathy? And that's what's really happening. That's why the world is in such a, iffy state right now with climate change and everything, because we have been very selfish and entitled, and we don't think about what it means when we throw something into the ocean and then it ends up, like a straw ends up in a turtle's nose. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not like it messes things up. The way things function are supposed to be like what I said earlier, the spiders eat the flies. And then what happens when you go in and you're afraid of spiders, so you destroy their web? Like you're messing up a system, and it's coming from a place of entitlement, and you're not taking any responsibility for it because you feel like a victim. You feel like you're owed something. And that's the problem that we need to fix. That's what's going to solve this whole climate change issue, because it's coming from our arrogance. And, lessening your carbon footprint isn't going to solve the root of that issue. You're still going to be entitled even if you're trying not to use as much gas in your car. It's not going to get anything done. And we're still going to die. But either way, the Earth is going to be here a lot longer than we are, because it's been through worse than us. All that's going to happen is that the planet is going to become uninhabitable for us. But the planet's not just going to explode and disappear. If there was life on Mars, and there's not now, then the planet is still there. It's not like the planet just stopped existing. And who are you to say that that would be a good or bad thing? Nothing lasts forever. So are you trying to save the planet from some arrogant savior complex idea that it's the planet you're trying to save, or are you being honest with what you're actually trying to do? And just being honest with yourself. Do you have some savior complex and you're so concerned with morality that you're going to kill your wife instead of five strangers, or are you going to spare your wife's life so you can talk about how hard it was for you to kill five strangers that night? And she'll say, well, I'm so happy that you didn't kill me, that you didn't just throw our entire marriage under the bus, literally, because because you had a weird morality scale. And imagine if it was your kid. Obviously you would not kill your kid. But that's just what I think. And I say wife because I think a straight man is more likely to have that type of arrogance and make that decision because of some societal issues like patriarchy that kind of conditions men to feel that they need to act a certain way and be a certain way, and they're very privileged and often end up feeling that sense of entitlement without realizing that they just are used to getting everything. So they have a mentality of take first and give later, and they don't know it. It's not that they're a bad person. They're just a victim of a really messed up um, culture and society. So the patriarchy is bad for everybody. Nobody benefits from it. And that's why people think if you're a feminist or if you're against the patriarchy, that you're a man hater. You're a man hater if you support the patriarchy, because that hurts literally everyone. And it encourages things that are not truth. You have to be focused on staying in the truth. And in order to do that, you cannot be an overthinker. You can't be worried all the time. Like in chapter 2, constantly your thoughts are overrun about, your head is overrun with thoughts about being perfect or good enough. You have to get rid of that, because you're not going to be able to access the truth if you're constantly on a roulette, wondering what's true and what's not. You have to be able to land on it quickly and just let, not overthink it, just kind of let your intuition take over, and then you'll feel it. You'll say, this is the truth, and I can feel it in my bones. And you don't have to put any more thought into it. So you have to really let go of the anxiety. And it doesn't help. It just hurts you. So yeah, this was all chapter 3. I went through chapter 1 and chapter 2 pretty quick, but chapter 3 was meant to be the solution. Chapter 1 is if it's you, chapter 2 is if it's not you, and chapter 3 is it's us. It's all of us. We all have work to do. Everyone needs to take responsibility. Everyone is the problem in someone else's story, and you need to know if you are the problem in the story of a manipulative person who doesn't take any responsibility for their behavior, or if you are the problem in the story of someone who is genuinely trying really hard and you're taking advantage of them. And you need to stop taking advantage of people, because the world does not owe you anything. You did not come here to just take and be a victim. You don't know anything about existence. Existence, when you really stop and think about it, is confusing as hell. And that's the reality of it. Because if you think that you understand existence, you already have an arrogance issue where you think that you need it's almost like this laziness, this unwillingness to continue growing and exploring the world, and you just want to have all the answers already, so you don't have to continue thinking about it, and you can just go live your life and tell other people how to live their lives based on your understanding that you barely put any thought into. And some people just come into a religion and then have the audacity to argue with philosophers and psychologists and scientists who've spent years studying all of this and putting a lot of thought and experiments into it. And someone who read a book and grew up learning this religion has the nerve to argue with you who put so much effort and thought into it. It makes no sense. And there's no way to turn it where it's not arrogance and ego. But I don't like that ego has negative connotations, because it's a useful term, and people need to be able to hear that they're coming from a place of ego without immediately getting defensive and feeling like they're being attacked. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Again, superiority is an illusion. There's no such thing as a good or bad person. We all just need to continue trying. And if someone tells you that you're coming from a place of ego, you need to stop and say, well, this may feel like criticism, but it's not everyone else's job to always tell me things in the way that I want to hear it. Sometimes someone is going to tell me constructive information in a way that isn't the way that I want to hear it. That doesn't make it any less constructive. And maybe it isn't constructive. Maybe you hear it and you think about it and you decide, you know what, that person was just being mouthy and that person was the problem. But at least you put thought into it. At least you genuinely considered it. And if you don't do that, then maybe you're the problem. So that's what this video is. Are you the problem? Think about everything I said. Try to decide how this applies to your life. And I'm actually surprised. I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say. I'm only 24 minutes in. I haven't done a video this short in a while. So yeah, I guess tune in next week. And thank you for watching. I'm gonna have to figure out an outro because I never know what to say, ever. And I just end up saying that. Goodbye.